Hi families, we just assigned our first science fair assignments. It is the question and the research pages. These are going to be due next Friday, October 24th. So let me show you what those look like. All right, so this is the first part, which is your question. You have to come up with a topic that you have a question about and you're going to test. The best way to do this is to think of something that you're interested in. Think of maybe 3 hobbies, something you love to do on your free time at home. Now, what's something you could do to learn more about that topic? For example, if you love soccer, you could maybe study which cleats help you kick the ball the furthest, or which cleats give you the best traction when running a zigzag course. Most important thing you want to do here is pick something that's important to you and something that you can test and make sure it's something you can observe. Now, as you can see at the top of this page, it's listing some of the categories of the science fair. Don't worry about the categories yet. We can help you determine which category you'll be in. Just focus on your question and the topic that you're interested in. You'll also notice that this page is giving you a few examples of possible topics. The one that they're going to refer back to throughout this whole packet is the topic of which cup is better to keep hot coffee hot. Okay, now let's take a look at the other side of this page where you're actually going to write down your work. Okay, so this is the actual page that you're going to be taking a photo of and turning into Student View or Google Classroom if you're in 5th grade. Notice that there's 3 questions you have to answer. I would actually start with the bottom question, because if you're not testing something that will help other people, then it's not going to be a valid question. For example, going back to the soccer idea, if we test which cleats help people run better in a zigzag pattern, they can use that information to do better in their soccer games. Furthermore, if we look at the coffee example, when people find out which cup will keep their coffee the warmest for the longest amount of time, they'll know which cups to buy at the store. So you want to think of a question that's going to help other people. Once you test your question and run your experiment, you can provide information to other people that will help them make a good choice in their own lives. The second question on this page is more about your own interest. So why did you choose this question? Well, you can refer back to your own personal hobbies and interests to answer this one. Please just make sure that you're answering everything in a complete sentence. Now let's look at the first question on this page. This is the one that you have to answer in the format that they gave you at the top of the page. So see that format at the top? How does what are you changing affect what are you measuring? So this would look like, how does changing the type of cleats I use affect how quickly I can run a zigzag course? Or in the case of the coffee cup, how does changing the material of the cup affect how long my coffee stays hot? So make sure that when you write your answer on this first question, you follow that exact format. All right, go ahead and complete this page, submit it to Student View. And if there's any corrections that need to be made, we'll go ahead and do that and give it back to you, and you can resubmit it. You guys got this. Now let's go on to research. All right, so on to research. Right here at the top in this box, you're just going to see an example of possible resources: library books, online text, scientists, interviews, videos, and more. It's important that when you're conducting your research, let's say you're searching a website, try to be as specific as possible to the actual experiment you're going to be doing. At the bottom of the page, you're going to see some examples about the heat or temperature, and this is referring back to that coffee cup example. Which material will keep my coffee the hottest, the longest? So here they're looking at different materials, and they're trying to learn about heat and temperature. All right, so let's go to the page where we actually have to write down our work. On this page, you're going to see that there's 2 sources or 2 paragraphs of 5 sentences each. Right next to those sources at the top right, it says type of source. So If you're searching through a book, you're going to put book as your type of source, a website, maybe a video, an online text. But I would really like you to actually be a little bit more detailed. So I'm going to ask for 3 specific things, and that is the author, the title, and the date published. So if it's a book or a website or a video, we need the author or the streamer, the person that created it, the title of the video, book, or website, and the date it was published. So this information can usually be found in the details on a video, and for a website can be found at the top of the website as well as the very bottom. That's where you're going to find who published it and the date. The title will be at the top. So what are these 5 lines for? Well, you're going to write down 5 facts you learned about that topic. So again, all right, so for example, if we're talking about the coffee cup experiment, maybe you'd write down 5 facts you learned about how different materials can transfer heat at different rates or speeds. In the example of the soccer cleats, you may write down how different cleats are made of different materials, or different cleats come with different lengths of cleats, of spikes on the bottom of the cleats. All these things will affect your research, or you could even find out which muscles are activated when you're running sprints in a zigzag pattern. So try to do your research on your topic and be as specific as possible. Use complete sentences here, write down your 5 facts, snap a photo, and turn it into Student View if you're in 4th grade, Google Classroom if you're in 5th grade. And now you're done with your first assignment for the science fair. Good job, guys. So once again, just make sure that the question is something that the student enjoys. It's something they're interested in, so they'll spend time on it. And make sure it's something that can be tested. And for the research, just remember that we need that author, title, and date published. So whoever created it, wrote it, or recorded it, the title of it, and when it was published. All right, have a great one. If you have any questions, you can message us on Dojo. All right, so just one final reminder. Once you've finished your worksheets in your science fair packet, snap a photo and submit to Google Classroom for 5th grade and submit to Student View if you're in 4th grade. All right, you guys got this. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.